Welcome inside Raise High at GW. I'm Julian Coltree, and I am joined by the head coach of GW Women's Basketball, Caroline McCombs. Coach, sometimes there are things in sports that kind of just put everything in perspective. And when you see what happened this week to Buffalo Bills safety Damar Hamlin, you obviously have a relationship with Pittsburgh. You were an assistant coach there for 5 years. You have family who are from the area. When you see what this young man is going through, how close does that hit home to you?
Yeah, absolutely. The world of sports just brings people closer together, and seeing that incident happen, the Pittsburgh community, Buffalo Bills community, obviously our GW family, our thoughts and our prayers are with him and his family, and, just take a step back to reflect and, realize, the importance of your medical staff and everybody, that's there to help take care of things that happen at that time. But yeah, we're thinking about him and praying for him and his family, and just brings everybody closer together and definitely puts things into perspective.
So well put. We'll be right back right after this.
Make your trip monumental. Sightsee through DC without overspending on gas and ride shares. Experience DC the local way. Ride, save, explore. Metro.
Seriously, like have you seen my silhouette? Sheesh, it's giving main character energy. Like grab the bags and start to fast.
Our best flavors just got better. Truly Hard Seltzer.
Welcome to Raise High here at George Washington University. Chris Caputo, road trip, 1-on-1, opening thoughts about how fantastic that was. This is your first time through the Atlantic 10. Yeah. To go to Chicago and beat perennial power Loyola Chicago, and take Richmond where you had a chance to win the game. Yeah. I know we wanted to go 2-0, but you got to be pretty pleased.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you someone said the hardest thing to do in sports is to win a road game in your conference, right? And so for us to go back to back and win one, play a great game at Loyola in their first game in the Atlantic 10, there's a lot of excitement surrounding that, and then to go to the defending champion Richmond and play a very, very competitive game down the stretch, kind of a two-possession game late, I think was a good step for our team.
And the one thing about, there is nothing better than road wins. The road win home, when you're flying back or driving back's amazing.
Yeah.
It also gives you a chance. Tell us about the road, like in Chicago, chance to bond, chance to just get away, no distractions. Because I know Hawaii's different because you see the ocean and there's all this other stuff going on. This is just you, your team in basketball. Tell us about that trip to Chicago.
Well, I think your routines are so important, and obviously, developing routines for your team, when they go on the road, so that every road game is very consistent in terms of how you travel, how you eat, how you meet, whether you depend on time of the game. Are you doing a shoot around? Are you, maybe meeting in the ballroom at Loyola? It was an earlier game, but we did have guys go over and shoot, and then we spent a little bit of time meeting in the ballroom as well. Whereas, at Richmond, it's a 7 o'clock game. You're going to have a full shoot around later in the morning, and so. What the timing of that is like, the type of rest you're going to get throughout the day and what have you. So the biggest thing for us is, like, you want to be consistent on the road. You want to be consistent then with your routines as you go on road trips.
Yeah, especially since you don't have it. There's not as much room for error. You don't have the fans to back you up. You want to make sure everything's rolling, and clearly Bishop was rolling, having 40 and 25. We're going to get into that later. I worked for Gary Williams. I did not do everything he did on the road. I probably should have. I'd probably still be coaching. No, I'm just kidding. He was different on the road. Sometimes he would lighten it up. Sometimes we would take half-court shots. Sometimes it was all biz.
Right.
What was Coach Larinaga like, and how much of what Coach Larinaga did do you use?
Yeah, he was very, very much a routine guy, and game day shoot-arounds, he was very intense. He wanted to see that the guys were ready to play at shoot-around by their level of focus, at shoot-around. And again, depending on your team, even last year with our group, maybe if you're not playing as many guys, you take that level of intensity and shoot around down a bit. There are other coaches that, are going to practice on the day of the game. There are some that never shoot. Coach Boeheim never do shoot around.
You had a guy get hurt once in shoot around, so he's never shot around live again.
You want to save their legs. So I think some of it is a feel for, what's your team like, what time's the game, those things. But I think, if you're going to do a very structured shoot around, you certainly want the focus to be very good because you're going to play. You're rehearsing to play well.
I like this. This is good. Let's stay on the Larrañaga thing. We just saw John Larrañaga, his son, who played at Mason, Jay Larrañaga, his other sons at the Clippers. You were out recruiting. Wonderful game over there at St. John's High School, IMG. Coach Behan's going through something over there, and it was a wonderful event. It was great to see you and your staff there. Tell us about Larrañaga, and he hit 700 wins, and tell them what that family's meant to you.
Yeah, I mean, for me, coming to Fairfax at the age of, I was younger than many of the players on our team right now, 22 years old, and you really like leaving home. You leave home for college, but now you're really leaving home. I've never lived in New York since then, and but for the Larrañaga family, to take me in, both personally and professionally, John and Jay are great friends, and obviously next to my own father, I would say Coach L has been very much a father figure. 700 wins. He just got nominated for the get on the ballot.
Yeah, he's on the Hall of Fame. I saw that.
For the Hall of Fame, and to have won 700 games, to be the only coach in college basketball history to win 100 games in their league in 3 different leagues, pretty incredible accomplishments.
And the Mason, other teams have now done it, like Loyola and Wichita State and VC. Yeah. But you set the bar at George Mason for a mid-major plus going to the Final Four. That was the coming out party.
We always say, respectfully, that when the teams go into the locker room now in that game, there's a belief that they can win that game.
Because of what you did.
Yeah, whereas when we did it, it sort of in modern times had not happened. I'm not saying we didn't believe. I think our guys certainly believed. That's why we won. But, there's a thought like, okay, this is going to end here. This is not really possible past this. And now everyone that goes into that situation has a belief that it can be done because it's been done a number of times. It's the Roger Bannister effect, right? The guy who ran the 4-minute mile?
4-minute mile. Yeah. I love that Caputo history major. UMass is coming in here.
Yeah.
And then the following week at St. Louis. We hope Georgia's Army will be back for St. Louis because it's close. The students return on the 17th.
I think they will.
No, I think they will. Everybody.
They better be.
We need you here. You don't want to stay at home anymore. Come out here and have some fun on the 14th against St. Louis. Talk about UMass. Frank Martin's there. The league's kind of been a little topsy-turvy. All of a sudden, Duquesne's here, Davidson's there. It's already been a potpourri of teams at the top. Tell us about UMass.
Yeah, I mean, Frank is obviously a great coach, a Final Four coach, someone I've known a long time. He's become a friend, obviously with the Miami connection. He's from Miami.
Sure.
Obviously his teams are always very physical, very tough. They're playing a lot of guys right now. They've got some really good leadership. I mean, some guys like Noah Fernandez that had been there and is a very, very good player in the league. And then they've added some nice pieces. So a lot of depth, very physical and tough defensive team as you might expect from one of Frank's teams.
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, I know it's the day that we're airing, but in 3 hours that game's being played. That's a great chance to come down here to the Smith Center. I want to close on this basketball question. EJ's out. He's done right. That's too bad because he's really been a really steady influence off the bench. Gives you a different look at point guard. You're basically down to 5 or 6 guys, and then Bishop and Adams has been tremendous, and then Ricky, and whether it's Hunter Dean and Maximus, but it's about Adams, and what JB's done is just tremendous across the country. Bishop's been being talked about, and he's going to be on here in a second. We're going to talk about that. What do you do with the 6 or 7? Like, can you adjust to that? Is that something you've done before at Miami or Mason?
Yeah.
Or you had a bigger bench?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think we're playing 7 for sure, and then potentially an 8th. I think for us, we've made some adjustments to accommodate for that.
Like you said, shoot around now has to change a little.
Yeah, some things about practice and things like that in terms of what do you do on an off day or what have you. But quite honestly, I mean, I think if you look at the best teams in the country. Most of them are playing like 8 guys, right? And sometimes a 9th, especially as you get into conference play and the games start to change a little bit. They're not quite as free-flowing. They're more in the half court. So, yeah, I mean, listen, I think our guys are in good shape. I think they're excited. It's a little bit easier for the coaching staff when you're not trying to think about subbing as much in terms of, rotations, what have you, when, some of those decisions are much more acute. It's like 1 guy or 2 guys and when, You know, so in some ways it's easier. In other ways, you know that, hey, listen, depth can be an issue, and you would prefer to have a little bit more depth at times.
But we play the hand that's dealt us, and the good news is you got a really good backcourt, one of the strongest backcourts for sure in the A10, and you ride that. Well, great job. Very hard to win your first conference game, let alone the road game, and then to battle Richmond. Lots of games coming up. It's going to be exciting. You're here at the Smith Center. You're doing a great job.
Thanks. Jim.
Raise high. This isn't just our battle cry. It's our call, our challenge. Because when you were called to Washington, you were called to higher expectations, to a higher standard. We are called here to advance knowledge, to serve society, to change the world. This is the George Washington University, and what we make is history. So stand up, be bold, take risks, press on, push harder, raise high.
Welcome back to Raise High at GW. We are very blessed today. James Bishop, one of the top scorers in the country, an electrifying story, a lot of 40-point games, a 44-point game, goes on the road, gets the first road win for Coach Caputo at Loyola Chicago, and then backs it up with a 25-point performance at Richmond. You're having a fantastic year.
Appreciate it.
We're all glad you stayed here.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm stayed too.
Tell us about the mixture of scoring, but you're kind of playing the point. You got to do a little of everything, but you still got to get your points. Tell us how you work that through.
I'm just trying to kind of read the game as it comes. Some games, teams play a little bit more aggressive, so then I know I might have two on the ball, so I'm getting off it. And then some games, they might be playing a little bit more passive, so I might come out a little bit more aggressive. So kind of just trying to read the game in front of me and take what the defense gives me.
You've done a really, really good job of that. And then with EJ out, though, now you're going to probably have to slide back to the point. Do you mind getting off the ball? Like, how does that work for you?
Nah, I don't mind. I mean, especially when you got a guard, you playing with a guard like Brendan Adams, who is really good.
Because you're both combination guards.
Really good on the ball, really good off the ball. So, I'm comfortable playing off the ball. And, it helps me get a lot of easier shots and catch and shoot looks and kind of not work as hard when I do have the ball.
Because you're being asked to do a lot of things and playing that many minutes. It's fun, but that's like you're playing 38 and 39 minutes. Yeah. Are you getting used to that? Like, in other words, there's a new coach, a new system. Tell us how the transition's been along with having to play the whole game.
Yeah, I'm getting used to it. I mean, Coach Caputo does a really good job of, explaining things and, putting me in situations that I'm really good in. So, yeah, I'm getting used to it and just playing along is, you just got to kind of be in condition and make sure you're doing everything off the floor as far as recovery, sleep, eating, so you're able to play that many minutes.
The transfer portal has taken on a new life. Now, you were before that. And I remember when you were Team Thrill and you played at Mount St. Joe for a tremendous high school coach. By the way, what was your high in high school?
Like 45.
At Alhambra? Pat Clatchy doing a great job. Legendary coach at Mount St. Joe. You go to LSU, that's okay, things happen. You try it to go to the Power 5 in an SEC, and you were fine, but you wanted to come home or you wanted more. Tell us about the transfer process and tell us what you think about the portal now that it's going full-fledged.
I think it was a combination of things. Being closer to home is always great, being around family, then being able to get to games, but also then having opportunity to play and show my game and be able to have an effect on the team. So I think it was a combination of things. And the transfer portal now, like you said, it's gotten crazy kind of, but I think it's a good and bad thing. I think it has some good things about it. Players are able to go find opportunities and be able to play. So
I like that you actually put academic. I mean, in other words, LSU's a fine school, but I think you stepped up academically to come here. That's one thing I worry about young men. Like, you're going to have to eventually, you'll play overseas or in the pros or wherever it takes you. Keep scoring 40. You'll definitely play in the NBA. But the GW degree in this area and the relationship you built is going to carry you forever. Tell us about your day-to-day life. No basketball here at GW.
Well, it depends. Well, during school, it's a lot of schoolwork, a lot of study hall, trying to get work done, always in the academic advisor's office. And then, just chilling around, going to different spots with my teammates, eating. different things like that.
Georgia's Army's been great. Do you run into a lot of students out there on campus?
Yeah, I run into a pretty good amount. You know, they're really excited about the team this year, really excited about Coach Caputo. So, you know, they love coming to the games, and we love having them here. They bring, you know, that sixth player that we need.
No, it's been tremendous, especially when the upstairs is full. You got UMass coming up. You know, this is going to air the day of the game, and then St. Louis. Chris Caputo, this is new for him. It's new for me. I do the Wizards. I do a lot of different stuff. Now I'm digging into the A10. You've been through this. Help us, educate us. Tell us about the A10 and what you think about it night in and night out.
It's a really, really tough league. Every game is going to be competitive. You got to show up for every game. So, you know, it's a really tough league, and you know, you got to be prepared and really come to play every single night.
Yeah, and sometimes it's interesting. Sometimes you travel short and sometimes you travel far. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Loyola Chicago, new in the league. You clearly like it there because you had 40. Tell us some of your other favorite places to go play in the league.
I like playing at Rhode Island. They got a really nice facility. Richmond was a good place to play in. That was kind of my first time playing there against them. I played my first year there in the tournament, but this is my first time playing against them there. Of course, George Mason is always a good place to play in.
Yeah, natural rivalry.
Yeah. I like playing everywhere, you know. I like hooping, so.
No, you've always been a baller.
Yeah.
You're a Baltimore guy. Kwame Evans went here, Shanta Rogers, Mike King. They helped turn this program with Coach Jarvis. Shanta Rogers, obviously, with Coach Penders. There's been a bunch of Baltimore players in this area. Baltimore, Will Barton's now at the Wizards. The Baltimore toughness thing, the Baltimore competitive thing. Tell us what it means to be from Baltimore and be a real player, which you are.
You just have that chip on your shoulder everywhere you go. Sometimes we're kind of overlooked, so everywhere we go, we're really trying to prove that we are tough and that we are here to play. So it's a real thing having that Baltimore toughness with you, and you can see it with all the guys you just named. You know, everywhere they go, they had a chip on their shoulder.
Have you been watching Sticks with the Pacers? They're a surprise team in the NBA. And he's fluctuated, but he's playing lots of minutes. This is Jalen Smith from Maryland.
Yeah,
Did you play with him?
Yeah. That was. I played with Sticks a long time, even in AAU when we were really young, and then in high school too. You know, terrific player. So yeah, I've definitely been watching his maturation in the league. It's been great to watch.
You know, it's interesting because I see you as that, like you're turning into a multifaceted player. You know, Sticks could block shots, a little shoot threes. Now you're doing more. Mm-hmm. You know, you're doing more as it's going, and that's been a terrific thing to watch. But I know you want to win.
Yeah.
And, you know, and tell us, like, can you get Maximus? Looks like he's really coming along. Like, what advice? We know Brandon Adams knows what he's doing. He's multifaceted, great player. And Dean's been around, and Ricky Lindo's been around too, a DC guy from Maryland. But Maximus might be the key to your season a little bit, because he had to sit out for a while. Have you been helping him with the process of getting along further?
Yeah, I've been trying to, you know, do my thing, just trying to help him and give him a little advice here and there. You know, mostly just sticking with it, trusting that process, and, you know, just going with the ups and downs of the season, and, you know, trying to just stay consistent with your mindset. You know, that'll help him play better. But I mean, he's a great player, so, you know, he's really figuring it out for us, and he's definitely going to be big.
No, he's got size and he can really score, but he had to sit out a while, and, you know, that's never easy.
Yeah.
Are you watching the Ravens?
A little bit. I'm not too big into football, but I'm definitely keeping a little bit of tabs on.
They're in the playoffs. If Lamar comes back, we can win. We won the Super Bowl. Wow, you just got to get in, and then you can win it.
Yeah.
Lastly, once basketball's over, what do you think you want to do with yourself? Would you want to coach like Clatchy?
I wouldn't be.
Maybe Caputo more than Clatchy.
I wouldn't be mad at coaching. I definitely think I would like to stay in basketball, whether that could be player development or, you know, coaching, whatever.
No, you've got a great background with Team Thrill and all that. Yeah. I just wondered what you thought, you know, other than that. And well, Happy New Year. You're playing great. You're one of the top best scorers in the country. Keep it going, and we're all excited. Come down to the Smith Center. Get to watch one of the top scorers in the country in James Bishop. Good luck. You're doing great.
Thank you.
Make your trip monumental. Sightsee through DC without overspending on gas and ride shares. Experience DC the local way. Ride, save, explore. Metro.
I had life-threatening bleeding in my brain. But thanks to the virtual reality technology at GW Hospital, my surgeons were able to look inside my brain and plan for a successful surgery. It's remarkable that I woke up and ran 5 miles this morning. I would tell GW Hospital, thank you for giving me new life.
For life's defining moments, the George Washington University Hospital, defining medicine.
Joined back here on Raise High at GW, Julian Coltree, head coach of the GW women's basketball team, Caroline McCombs. Coach, we got a lot to talk about. Obviously, the end of your non-conference slate, the beginning of A10 play, but I want to start with a little bit of a personal accomplishment. I know you're a head coach who loves the team and the team-building mentality, but at the end of your non-conference, you get your 150th career win as a head coach. What does that number really mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, you can reflect back to win number one and how hard it is to just win one game, let alone 150. I've had tremendous people that have worked alongside of me. I've had an amazing group of young women that have all contributed to those wins. So, you know, it's a number, it's a milestone, and I'm thankful for it. And just remembering, like, how much bigger things are than just the 150 wins, but just everything that has gone into the time that I've had an opportunity to be a head coach.
When you look back to that first game, that first win, what do you think you would tell yourself as almost like a younger head coach now to the lessons that you've learned today? Is there any advice you'd give yourself?
I mean, you know, you're just so scared and so nervous, you know, to call that first time out, to make that first substitution, you know, just all of those things. It's just like life. You just got to take that first step and figure it out. But, you know, I'm thankful for the preparation that I had to lead me to that opportunity to where I am today.
Do you ever allow yourself to think about racking up more wins as you go through the process of being a head coach and moving around and playing all these different games?
I mean, every time you step on the court, you know, you're going out there to get a win. To me, it's all the other things that go into positioning yourself to win a basketball game. So we try to be the best people that we can be every day and create those types of environments so those things happen on the court.
You mentioned the members of your staff, the players who have obviously contributed, but what about some of the mentors that you've had that have helped point you in the right direction so that you've been able to rack up these wins?
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, all four head coaches that I've had an opportunity to work for, Keith Friedman, Agnes Baronato, Joe McEwen, Terry Williams, those people have really invested in me as an assistant coach, and I've taken everything I've learned, you know, from them and those experiences and built who I am today here at GW.
Would you consider them your Mount Rushmore of college basketball head coaches?
Yeah, I mean, like, just everybody's a little bit different, you know, who you work for, what their, you know, values are and what's important to them. And, you know, that's really kind of shaped me to who I am today. So I'm just thankful for the good, the bad, you know, the wins, the losses, you know, just all of those things. Sometimes you learn the most when you aren't successful at things and you figure out through those moments like who you want to become and how you want to do things. So all of that has led me to be where I am today.
From the moment that you got the GW, you talked about getting better every single day. As you get into conference play and you look at the grind of the season, how important is it for every single practice, every single workout for the team to learn and grow and continue to get better?
Yeah, it's so important. I believe you can't get too high, you can't get too low. You have to stick with that process. That's really where we are in these beginning stages of conference play. You know, I'm excited about, you know, what lies ahead, but just us learning from, you know, our practices to our games and our preparation. As every year, it's a new team and it's going to offer, you know, just new opportunities.
Coming into this show, we have 2 conference games that are already in the book. You open up the season with a conference win at Richmond and then a tough effort at home against St. Joe's. What have been your thoughts on those first 2 games, and have you liked kind of how things have progressed regardless of wins and losses?
Yeah, I think we've played 2 really good teams in Richmond and St. Joe's. I think they're well skilled, they're well coached, they play extremely hard. They've been great opponents for us to open up with. I think that we can continue to improve in some things that we're doing defensively, which they've challenged us, you know, in those ways. So that film, that preparation in moving forward is really important. I don't think we've shot the ball extremely well. Maybe I can attribute that to their defense. I don't want to take anything away from those opponents. But, you know, we need to put the ball in the basket at a higher level. And I think we can do that. We've shown that in our non-conference play. So just figuring, those things out as we move forward is going to be really important.
Last year, there was almost a learning curve. It's your first year in the A10. Now you know what these teams bring to the table, their style of play. How big of a benefit has that been early on in the conference slate this year?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you coach last night at St. Joe's. Cindy's coached for 22 years, in the league. So you have somebody that's a veteran coach that knows the league, very well. Obviously, this is just my second year, so her learning us and our system. But, coaches are really good. They have you highly scouted. I think we're able to learn coaches' tendencies, in year two. Again, you only get to play the teams one time, and a couple teams you play twice. So you don't get to see them, a whole lot. So your scouting and film is really important.
Have you been encouraged by what you've seen from some of the players who haven't gotten a chance to play in the A10 games, such as Mia Loxtagala or Nia Robertson, who have had pretty good games to start this conference play?
Yeah, I think they're learning. I think that's all about, our preparation for them. Mia has played in the Big Five, so she's played against LaSalle, she's played against St. Joe's before that are on our schedule. So, and they're well aware of her as well. And so I think that's with, scouting prep, film prep, and us just helping them to get ready for that moment is really important.
It's going to be a super exciting conference season. We can't wait to see how it unfolds. Coach McCombs, thanks for joining us on the program.
Thank you.
That's going to do it for us here at Raise High at GW. We want to wish everybody a happy and safe new year.